This is an It Came From Gen X video.
This week in pop culture history, Keith, again, we're shooting this on Monday, May the 8th, as we said before. May the 10th, all the way back in 1939, we have a very famous comic book character birthday, if you will, his very first appearance in the 27th issue of Detective Comics hit the newsstands here. You might know already that was the first appearance by Batman. Yeah, some people think maybe Batman started with his own series. No. He made an appearance in Detective Comics, and obviously he became very popular, and then spawned his own comic book series, and then the rest is
history.
History. The issue, by the way, is here. So it's considered by some to be the most valuable comic in print, which is interesting.
Wow.
One sold for 1 million. No, what's this? 175? No, 1,075,000 in 2010. So pretty amazing stuff here. So the Batman is certainly, I think he's one of our favorite comic book characters that there is. So we'll take a pause here on Batman. So any particular comic stories of Batman intrigue you? We talked about the movies at length on this podcast and others, but I'm curious if you happen to know of any comic book storyline of the Batman that, probably many, but if any come to mind as one of your favorites.
Yeah, one of the early stuff I thought was fantastic because it was so gritty and dark and gloomy. The ones when he actually met Dick Grayson for the first time and was trying to reel him in. That storyline was great. Of course, it was set in the early, what was the 40s, you said, or whatever, that came out?
39, yeah.
39, yeah. And, so the cars and everything was different. And it was just a raw, gritty story. It didn't have the sci-fi feel we have on it today. He was a detective foremost, more than anything, a troubled human being, a raw fighter. And now he's got this kid who's trying to control his hatred and his pain. And I remember reading a thick graphic novel comic book on that storyline. So that original storyline is one of my favorites. You saw the brilliance of him being a detective and teaching Dick Grayson to be a detective back then. It wasn't about the utility belt and the fights. It was about the detective skills. And I remember reading all that cool stuff. So I remember Dick Grayson, they were trying to hunt down this man named Ted Tate. And Dick Grayson found him, or Robin, if you will. And he only had seconds to send a message to Batman. And he left Batman a penny in an envelope. And everybody was like, that's not a message. That's not a message. But Batman, being the detective he is, put that penny under a microscope. And Robin, using something incredibly small where it says 1 cent in United States of America, he had crossed out all the letters so that it said 1 cent of Ted Tate. And it was just total brilliant detective stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I remember all this stuff. They got away so much from the detective aspect of Batman. And I always remember that was like one of the coolest things I ever saw, I used to always look at a penny going, yep, you can cross that out. And it'll say 1 cent of Ted Tate, And that was very, very cool. So that's the stuff I remember.
Very good. Yeah, I got into collecting the comic. I liked Batman as a kid, the Justice League and all that, but it wasn't until the movie back in '89 that I started to collect the comics, and they really kind of adjusted Batman at that point to be darker again, kind of more in line with the movie feel and stuff like that. So I collected Batman comics for many years after that, and I have the original series up in the attic right now. That's the Nightfall series, which they've portrayed in the original trilogy, not the original trilogy, the Nolan trilogy with Bane. So that was based on a comic book series where Batman was defeated by Bane. Bane literally broke his back. And Batman was paralyzed for a while in a wheelchair, and they brought another guy in to take over the mantle of the Batman. And for a while, this guy wore the traditional Batman uniform, and then he eventually kind of created his own bat suit with armor and things. And he got Azrael was this guy's name, so he became more and more violent. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne was working to recuperate and all that, and it kind of ended where Bruce Wayne had to fight Azrael, who was the dominant Batman. And then, of course, obviously Bruce Wayne won, and Azrael was defeated, and then Bruce Wayne resumed the whole thing. But it was a very long, intense storyline, the whole recovery of Bruce Wayne and the whole uprising of this Azrael guy. So Nightfall, I'm sure you can find it out there in a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And there's so many storylines of Batman. It's very, very interesting. Like you say, just with the detective work and things, when they work that into the storyline, it makes it that much more interesting, which is, I know, one thing that we liked with the whole Robert Pattinson version in the new Batman movie. So, good stuff.
Yeah.